Hello and welcome to the next part of Elden Ring. I forgot to check, so I don't remember the number. But this is the next part in our initial run through the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Map doesn't want to load in whenever I first get on. That's another weird thing I've noticed about the DLC patch. But anyways, last time we went through Bonnie Jail, getting ourselves the Curse Blade Mira Spirit Ash, which is that very first enemy you're probably going to find in the DLC. The one with a ton of mobility and two, like, circular things for weapons. And they can be very difficult. So having them as a Spirit Ash, which 91 FP, not the best, but not too bad. Like, 14 or 15 mines should get you that. But after that, then we started around here, and we went to the left through the arches, getting ourselves to foot of the Jagged Peak. We fought another Jagged Peak Drake. We met this NPC Igon, and then we continued to head up. And I forget their name, but it was like Senesax, something like that. And they dropped an ancient dragon smithing stone and an ancient somber stone. Also, we have 2 Erdtree fragments. But we now require 3. So that's not good. And I remember from the end of last time, we could go that way or this way. And I was about to say, this way felt less up. And so that's where I'm gonna go. Egon's Cookbook 2. Alright, so Dragon Communion Flesh. Boosts health, stamina, strength, and dexterity at the cost of gradual HP loss. So it's like Exalted Flesh, but a lot better, considering it's not just attack, it's your 4 like main physical stats. But that betterness does come at a cost. As I've said before, I can definitely see the appeal, because having more health, more stamina, more damage, all very, very good. But as you can probably tell by my just absolute hyperfixation on keeping health up, health going down is not something that is compatible with my playstyle. And so, that's a no for me. I do see the wind tunnel, by the way. Or the, I don't remember what, like, the official name is. Spirit Spring Jump, that's it. I really have to get a lot better at remembering the official names. I was about to say, I don't know if you're even supposed to be able to get up here. It kind of doesn't feel like it. But then there was a crafting item, and why would they put a crafting item if you're not supposed to get up there? That wouldn't make any sense, so clearly you're supposed to be over here. Alright, I don't know if this is the way we're... It doesn't seem like this is the way we're supposed to go. It seems like this is a bit of a fail state thing. Where it's like, you're supposed to go up the Spirit Spring jump, and then you land in the place we were just running if you, like, miss a jump. Which probably explains why there was crafting items or crafting materials. But not an easy way to get up there. Yeah, it's in case you missed that jump, I would assume. Or this one. Red Fulgur Bloom. Oh, those are enemies. And don't really care to fight those enemies because they don't really give you anything. They aren't really worth it. Ancient Somberstone. So, good thing we moved back because that's a very good reward. Kind of strange that that's considered to be like the best. I don't know why I said considered. That is the best weapon upgrade item. But then there's just a ton hanging around. As I said before, I'm not really like super familiar with the lore. But if I remember correctly, I believe that the ancient stones... But I believe the ancient stones... Speaking of... But I believe that they're like scales from... I think it's Placidusax, the Dragon Lord, hanging out in Farum-Azula. The one that lost a few heads, you know, that one. And so, it's kind of strange that they have so many scales just hanging out on a random side of a mountain. I had to press that get off your horse button 5 times for that. Which is something that I have said in my first Elden Ring run, where if there's any bumpiness at all, that's a boss. But if it is not completely flat land, getting off Torrent is a pain. And I don't know why. And I really hope that there's an Elden Ring 2. So that way Elden Ring 2 could fix that. Also, Igon gave us a thing. He gave us an item. And he said, use this and whatever, I'll be summoned. But I don't know where that is. Oh, we can do this. Because it's probably somewhere here. Egon's for Old Finger. Summons Drake Warrior Igon from his sign. So number held 1 out of 1. So would that wouldn't be a key item, would it? Oh no. Because you can't equip key items here. Which means that we're going to have to go into our inventory, go all the way over to key items, and then scroll all the way down here to use it. Oh. That's no good. Hello. Bayle the Dread. That did no damage. And that went very far. So that might be a thing of you want to get close. Oh, except he also has a close range one. Oh, he only has one leg. Ow. Ow. Alright, so Bayle does, like, from what it looks like right now, Bayle does the fun FromSoft thing of missing a ton of limbs, but still being extremely difficult. And I was about to say, man, my swings do not hit. Oh, grab attack. Smack. Yeah, clearly I'm not winning this one. Like, clearly this isn't going to be a first or second try type of thing. And key items. Oh, summons Drake Warrior Igon from his sign. So is it a thing of like, as long as I have it, I can summon? Is it a thing of like, he has a sign, and I need the key item to be able to summon him from that sign, but I don't need to go into the inventory? I just need to have it? Because don't see a sign anywhere. Also, temporarily boost all damage negation. I sipped that, so I had temporarily increased damage negation. And the Beast Champion set, one of the heaviest, most defensive sets in the entire game. And the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman. I would just like to point that out. But we can also go with Pearl Drake 2. And it seemed like they had Fire Lightning. Like Senesax. I feel like fire is probably going to be more of an issue though. So there we go. So, one of the most defensive armor sets in the game, the best fire damage negation, the best physical damage negation, and a +2 for non-physical damage negation. And a physic tier that gives us more damage negation temporarily. And then we can pop Bestial Vitality and Flame grant me strength as well. I was about to say. We can also summon Mimic here because this clearly is not going to be an easy fight. And wow. Alright, so Bayle has no chill. Like, absolutely no chill whatsoever. My guy will not give you a break. Despite only having half the limbs of a normal dragon, he's far more aggressive than any dragon with all their limbs. Oh, that's not good. Whew. I don't even know where the boss is anymore. Still, I feel like once I get used to the boss, and once I understand their attacks, and understand how to deal with them, this might end up being a favorite. Oh, broken in one. But yeah, that does come with the problem of when you don't know how to deal with them, you really don't know how to deal with them because, ooh. Like I said, once they hit a certain health threshold, I just stopped knowing where they were. Because there was so much of visual clutter. And it just kicked the lock on off. And even when you are locked on, that can, like, you can only lock onto their head. And this might be, oh, I forget their name right now. I seriously doubt that it's Mildred. But the Dark Souls 3 Ring City DLC Dragon Boss. Oh, I rolled into that one. Oh, there's a follow-up. Okay. Oof. Rolled to the side twice and it wasn't enough. Dang. Should have known that I was hanging out too close too long. Ooh. Mr. Dragon, please chill. You're basically out of limbs. And I'm out of FP. This is something that I'm not a fan of, though. Is dragon bosses just flying away. Like, yeah, it looks very cool. Wow. Alright. But yeah, I'm not a fan of dragon bosses just flying away. Because, sure, it looks very cool. Also, either we forgot to drink this, or they really nerfed how long Twiggy Cracked here is active. It's one of those two. We'll give it one more go, though. But I don't like it because even though it looks very cool, it's like, alright, now you just have to stand here and watch as the boss runs around. And we're dead. Oh, there's the summon sign. Alright, good news. We found the summon sign. I don't know why it's inside the boss room. That feels a bit... Question is, what do we go with? I feel like boost fire attack could be good, since we have fire damage. Like on this. It's like 35-45% of our damage. but still. And I should probably get rid of this, because Mimikir's been using it. And I don't want Mimikir to use it. But pop this. Pop this. Pop this.
Curse you, Bayle! I hereby vow you will rue this day. Behold,
did you hear me bowling?
Drake Warrior and Igon.
Alright, Jesus Christ.
Your fears made flesh.
He didn't even get to finish his sentence or his lines before I died. And did you hear me just... Because once I healed, I immediately started doing that, and I was just laying on my back, staring at the sky, enjoying the view for so long.
Curse you, Bayle! I hereby vow you will rue this day. Behold, a true Drake Warrior and Igon. Your fears made flesh. Solid of scale you might be, foul dragon, but I will riddle with holes your rotten hide. With a hail of harpoons! With every last drop of my being!
Oh. Alright, so... he's done talking now. Good. I didn't want to interrupt his spiel. Speech, whatever you want to call it. Oh. Let's see. That first one I'm fine with because that initiates phase 2. I was about to say, I rolled the wrong way. I was about to say, where's our friend guy? And oh, jeez. So I don't know if when they do that like following lightning attack, I don't know if they do other attacks along with that. Sir, please. Ow. Oh, nice. Nice. Get as many attacks in as we can. Oh, there's a follow-up there. That's smart of you. I don't imagine...
Bayle the Dread! You shall haunt me no longer.
Okay. So, we got the Heart of Bayle, Heart of Dread, whatever it was. Got a bunch of these. And we can read the description and then I'll give my thoughts on the boss. The runes are over there, but runes mean nothing. Because of how quickly we died in some of those attempts. We weren't able to pick him up. Alright. Gain power of Bayle at the Grand Altar of Dragon Communion. The Bayle trial, don't know how to pronounce that or what it means. Heart of Bayle the Dread. Dotted with horn-like gravel stones and glistening with deep red liquor. Gorge upon this at the Grand Altar of Dragon Communion to absorb Bayle's power, the purest form of communion, in the words of its priestess. Okay. And that's down here. And I don't think there's anything else there. At least I couldn't see anything else there. Although I am basically blind, so... Could've. Priestess's Heart and Flowerstone Gavel. So that's either here or in consumables. I would assume right here. It turns human frame into ancient dragon and boosts dragon cult incantations. Well, that sounds pretty good. Dragon incantations are already very powerful. The stone heart of a dragon communion priestess. Use while disrobed, so take off all your armor. To turn one's human flesh into an ancient dragon. The change cannot be undone except by death using this heart, while already transformed, temporarily boost incantations of the capital's ancient dragon cult. The priestess was once an ancient dragon herself, but sacrificed that form for feeble flesh to aid in the destruction of Bayle the Dread. And then Flowerstone Gavel. I'm assuming that's a weapon. Yep. Strength, dexterity, arcane-based hammer with physical damage. Weapon of the Dragon Communion Priestess, a dragonstone hammer resembling an ancient flower. The 4 petals of the flower's core are all sharp, ending in points, and are capable of dealing heavy damage to dragons. Unique skill, Flower Dragon Bolt. Calls down the red lightning of the ancient dragons to strike a target. Deals lightning damage, and also temporarily reduces the target's lightning damage negation. Can be charged to increase the power. And so he can't attack, because this is a no attacking zone, but it looks pretty cool, and it has decent range. And then here's where we can examine the altar. And we can either get Bayle's Tyranny or Bayle's Flame Lightning. Which Bayle's Tyranny takes 49 arcane and 46 FP. And Bayle's Flame Lightning takes 53 arcane and 43 FP. And you can pause to read those if you want. And then there's Ritual Dragon Communion, where you can use 3 Dragon Hearts to get Ghost Flame Breath, which takes 23 Faith and 15 Arcane and costs 36. And you can pause to read this if you want. I don't know if we're going to get a second Heart of Bayle. So... But, for the thoughts on the fight, obviously was very difficult. Like, at this point, I have fought two, what I would consider to be main bosses. There was the lion boss here, where we had Freya and Mimic here and beat them first try. Though, I think Freya was more of a detriment than a help, because the boss had a ton of mobility and like strength builds that use these big slow weapons like curved greatswords aren't that good against high mobility bosses. I feel like magic builds will be better against them. So I feel like Freya was slightly more of a detriment than a help there, but still beat them first try. Though again, I had Mimicked here. And then there was not the Shadow Keep, there was Castle Ensis, where we beat Ralana. And we beat her second try with Needle Knight Lita. And first try, very close. She was one shot from death. And then we beat her second try. And as I said, I did have Needle Knight Lita to help us with that. But no Mimic here. And it was clear that it was clear that it'll only take like 1 to 3, maybe up to 5 if you're not really used to magic, to learn her moveset. So you can learn how she fights pretty quickly and learn to get around it. Whereas with Bayle, they were far more difficult than either of them. Like, I wasn't keeping track of how many attempts that took, but if I had to guess, I would say it probably took us like 6 or 7 attempts. And they were the only boss where it was like our just instantaneous death. And there were times where they would use an attack and knock me down, and I would just be mashing the dodge button. But my character would just be on the ground for so long, refusing to get up, that Bayle would get a second attack in. And so it was just a 2-in-1 special for Bayle. And remember, I'm using the Beast Champion Armor set, one of the most defensive sets in the entire game, and the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman for the highest amount of physical damage negation in the game. And partway through that, I moved over to Pearl Drake Talisman +2 and Flame Drake Talisman +3 for even more defense. Like, if you go to my status, on the right side here, defense/damage negation, this left, I believe how it works is the left one is a flat amount. So the first 154 damage will take no damage. But then the second thing is a percentage. So 66.78% of physical damage will be negated. That's 2/3 of physical damage being negated with 49 points into our health stat, and they could still 2 to 3 shot us very easily. And you might say, oh, well, you have 45 or 49 points in your health stat. That should be at 60. But another 11 points into our health stat would only get us 220 HP. Which, considering we have 1,680, that's not a big increase. That's not exactly gonna save you from another 1 to 2 shots. So, like, I'm starting on the bad here. and then I'll go to the good after. Because I feel like the bad is more immediately noticeable. But so the insanely high amount of damage mixed with the insanely high amount of aggression mixed with how long the boss can stun you, like, if it's one, maybe even two of those things, that's manageable. But having all three is just a bit too much. And then the fact that they can come out the gate closing the entire battlefield on you and basically just pinning you in a corner with their high damage, with their high aggression, pinning you in a corner so on one hand there's a wall, on the other hand there's them, messing up your camera. And then it's like, alright, how do you get out of that? And like I said, they can do that immediately. And if you want to summon Mimic Tier in the beginning, there's that. But if you want to summon Mimic Tier after that, you have to deal with their very high aggression. And also the summon for the guy is there. And so it's like, if you want help, you kind of have to deal with that right at the beginning. And I feel like that can immediately bring you down like 2, 3, 4 flasks and put you on the back foot just for needing help, which is just going to make you need help even more. And so I feel like the aggression is good, because a boss like that I feel like should be aggressive. It's just, the problem for me lies mostly with how aggressive they are straight out of the gate, mixed with how long they can knock you down, mixed with you can't summon Igon outside of the fight. Because if you could summon him outside of the fight, then that'd be different. And so, like I said, having 2 of these things is fine. It's when you have all 3, 4 just mashed together that things become a problem. And for most dragon fights, they do like a scream when the fight starts. I feel like if Bayle did that, then that would give you time to summon Igon or summon Mimic Tier. Or like I said, just put Igon outside of the fight. And then if you try to walk away, just have him not follow you, because he's too focused on Bayle. And that could fix the problem. And then less of an objective problem and more of a personal thing. But I'm not a fan of dragons that fly away. Like, the Ghost Flame dragons throughout the DLC so far, they have like little side hops, or they'll fly for like a second to reposition, and I think that's fine. But if the dragon flies up and you go, alright, there he goes, and they're just flying around and flying around and flying around and flying around and flying around, like, I have a problem with that, because it's like, alright, instead of actually fighting the boss, I'm just watching the boss. Like, might as well just be watching TV at this point, because this isn't a video game where my inputs matter outside of dodging the boss's attacks as they fly around. And so, not a fan of that. because you don't actually get to fight the boss. You get to watch the boss. And don't get me wrong, watching the boss is cool, but I like to fight the bosses. But a mixture of the hyper aggression, the massive damage, because again, 66.78% of physical damage negated, 74.1% of fire damage negated. Like, 3/4 of all fire damage was being stopped. And they were still taking chunks of my health. And so it's like, can't really do anything because it's just to get punched in the face, heal, get punched in the face, heal, get punched in the face, heal. Because their damage is so high and they're so aggressive. I can't imagine anyone trying to run with the Dancer set or the like Sanguine Noble set or any of the sorcery sets, like the Errant Sorcerer set. Like, ooh. Because a lot of the damage negation comes from your armor set. And so if you're running one of those lighter armor sets, you're probably just going to be one shot by a lot. So I feel like they could have toned down the damage, not by a lot, but just by a bit. And then they could have had Igon be summoned outside of the boss fight. I feel like those two changes would have really, really helped. But then, on to the good. The visual design, obviously. Because they were... I've said it multiple times. I believe Elden Ring has the best dragon bosses. And I feel like Bayle was very, very, very strong contender for the best designed boss. And just like, I still can't remember the name, but Madrid, whatever they're called, the Dark Souls 3 DLC boss, Dark Eater Madir, that's it. I knew I'd remember it eventually. Watch that be wrong. But Dark Eater Madir, that's a boss where my first few attempts, I didn't really like them. But once I learned how to fight them, they grew on me. Now, a lot of people considered them, at least from what I've heard, to be the best dragon boss in the series. That was before this came out. I don't know if Shadow of the Erdtree is going to change that. But I don't agree with that. Dark Eater Madir is not my favorite. Not even close. I mean, the normal dragon bosses in Elden Ring I enjoy more. But that's probably because you have more variety in these bosses and like how to approach them. Whereas with Madir, it's like there's one option and that's kind of it. And you better not mess it up because they have a ton of damage and a ton of health. And so it can be very easy to just get 1 to 2 shot 4 minutes into the fight. And so because of the lack of variety and because of how much health they have, I'm not a big fan of Madir. I mean, I think they're fine at this point after learning how to deal with them. And I feel like Bayle is going to be in a similar situation. Where... I mean, I liked him more than I liked Midir at first. Where I feel like Bayle right now is fine. I wouldn't call them a bad boss. It's just that they have so many good things going for them, but they have so many bad things going for them. And so it kind of evens out to them being okay. But yeah, the visual design, the lore, the aggression, because it stopped raining. But I do like how aggressive they were alone in a vacuum. That mixed with their insane damage, again, 66.78% of physical damage being negated and 74% of fire damage being negated, and they still did that much damage, where they were still able to 2 to 3 shot me. So everything in combination becomes a problem for me, but the aggression by itself I really liked. And then you could probably wrap it up into lore, but the whole Igon thing... Yeah, Igon. I wonder if he's still here, actually. Let's go check for that. But Igon having like a personal vendetta against the boss and being able to summon Igon to help you with the boss, but requiring you, at least I think it requires you to beat the dragon up here. So it's like, Igon is willing to help you with the boss, but you need to prove you're worthy. I think that's very cool. And then the attacks. Oh. They dropped an item. Right, so they're dead. It's a corpse there. Egon's great bow, armor, and then bell bearing. Alright, we can look at that in a minute. For now, yeah, the visual design, the lore, the aggression, Egon's whole thing with them, and then the spectacle. Like, those 5 things, along with the build-up, those 6 things were all really, really cool. I liked them a lot. And I haven't done them yet, but the single weapon class runs for Elden Ring, again, I haven't done them yet, but I'm sure I'll get to them in those runs. But I do have a problem with spectacle in Elden Ring's bosses, because I feel like they hyper-fixate on the spectacle so much that it comes at a detriment to the boss fights. And so, I do have a problem there. But, reading this, Egon's a great bow, mostly scales with strength. Makes sense, it's a great bow. A weapon of Igon, the broken Drake Warrior. A great bow fashioned from 2 dragon bones bound with coarse rope, covered in gashes left by claws, imbued with Egon's obsession, enhancing the power of Egon's harpoon. Skill, Egon's Drake Hunt. Skill of Igon, Drake Warrior. Ready the bow before unleashing a twisted shot with a great bellow that considerably enhances its power. Okay. And then, yeah, look at how low the damage negation on this is. Like 10.1 to 4. Like, this late in the game, this is basically worthless. It doesn't... Oh, the cape looks cool, but that doesn't really matter. It doesn't have the damage negation to... Like, it doesn't matter how cool it looks, it doesn't matter how good the lore is. The damage negation just isn't good enough to deal with the damage that you're dealing with at this point in the game. But anyways, Armor of the Broken Drake Warrior Igon, from a set comprised of a miscellany of parts. I'd probably butcher that pronunciation. Filthy belongings are attached to this tattered piece of protective wear. The poor scavenger of battlefields found honor through dragon communion. I should have gone from the top. I should have gone up. Igon's harpoon. Alright, so we can cash that into the Twin Maiden. I'm assuming Igon's harpoon is going to be a great arrow. Because I don't see what else it would be. Yep. Igon's harpoon, great arrow, 90 physical damage. Great arrow that bristles with sharp gravelstone pieces, has an anti-dragon effect. Ooh. Good, good, good. The broken Drake Warrior Igon made these one by one in midst of his agony, so that way Bayle the Dread himself would know fear. Alright. Well, for how long this part went on, we got very little progress, because we went from Jagged Peak Mountainside to Jagged Peak Summit. We got an ancient Somber Stone. We got an ancient Dragon Stone. We got one cookbook to get Dragon Communion flesh. And then we fought Bayle. So, very little progress for nearly an hour-long part. But Bayle was by far the most difficult boss in the DLC so far. Like, it's not even close. The lion boss was the second hardest, but again, not even close. I'm gonna come back there and look around to see if there's anywhere to go. But yeah, not as much progress, but still, we beat the boss. We got an armor set. We got his heart. We got a great bow. We got an ancient Somber Stone, ancient Dragon Stone. We can buy an infinite amount of great arrows that have anti-dragon effects. We beat the hardest boss in the DLC so far, so not as much progress, but I'll still take it. And with that being said, yeah.